would you like to have a discussion?
It depends on what they were discussing.
What are the criteria that journal editors are looking for in potential reviewers?
But this is more a discussion that only you should have an opinion about, no? I'm not
Possibly.
so experienced.
Possibly. Um, yeah. Do you want to be a reviewer? Let me start with that because you're an early career researcher. You're one of the people that she is talking about. She's talking about late PhDs, early postdocs.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know if I should be a reviewer yet. But
Have you
maybe,
done any peer review?
no, in my master's to practice. Like, it's interesting to.
Poor
Uh,
editor.
no. We had our own little publication in the masters. So there were people editing, and then they sent out. So I reviewed my peers in the masters. Like if you did a master's thesis, we would publish it in, and someone else would read it. So that was cool. I think so. That gives you some idea of what you should do when you later get your PI saying like, "No, you should review this paper for me." Yeah, because it could also be that the paper goes to the PI and one can review together with the PI, right? I thought this was the way that early career researchers get into reviewing. So that would be something like if I would have to review.
Sorry, I meant to interrupt. One note about that. As an editor,
It's not allowed.
no, it's allowed.
Okay.
I would just like to clarify. That is the typical way in which we get peer reviews from more junior people, and we encourage that.
Yeah. Okay.
But tell us, if we send something out to you as a PI, and you decide you don't have the time, but you have a very qualified postdoc or maybe even a very qualified PhD student, though normally we ask you to get someone who is a little bit more advanced in their career. You can ask us, hey, I don't have time, but I have a postdoc. Is it okay if they do the peer review? We will say yes. We'd be very happy for their review, but you should tell us.
Makes sense for me as a late PhD. What am I called? Student.
I think technically you are qualifying as a PhD candidate now.
Wait, I'm now a PhD candidate.
We don't really do that in Europe. Hence the confusion.
That's why.
People in America do it after they pass their qualifying exams. So it's like a late stage thing check. But we don't really have the equivalent of that, aside from maybe, when you have all your courses done and you have enough points. But we don't have something like a qualifying exam.
Yeah.
But if you tell someone in the US you're a PhD candidate, they will understand that you're ready to defend, which you are.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So
you're gonna give it a try. But yeah, no. So normally we, as guidelines for us, for new editors, is basically you say we like postdocs. We think PhD students don't really have a big enough grasp on the field to do an informed peer review, because that's also the thing. Like, you need to know what else is out there. You need to put everything in perspective, and it's very likely that the most qualified person to comment on, say, a technique is a postdoc.
Yes,
because we all know that PIs don't really. They aren't really in the lab.
Or even some PhD students. So how does that work? If
but then we will ask you to peer review specifically for that one aspect.
Okay. So
that should be the focus of your peer review.
Because that would be very good for a PhD. Like, if I look at myself, when the PI or the postdoc is reviewing something, they can ask a PhD student specifically to review a part of the paper, because that would give some experience to the youngest person, but you cannot reveal the whole manuscript, of course, because it's still a manuscript in review.
So there's no such thing as blinding your student for part of the manuscript. Like, you're not going to do that. But that's why we say you can distribute it to one of your students or a postdoc for their input, but you should let us know. And you shouldn't. And these documents, these manuscripts that we send out as editors, are confidential. You are not allowed. You're not supposed to share them with anyone else, unless you ask specifically for permission to share them with a specific person.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
we've had requests from potential peer reviewers who said, we don't really do that in that manner, but we sometimes discuss manuscripts during lab meeting, because journal club, can we use this manuscript for that? And we say, and usually we will say no, because these are confidential documents and you're not supposed to just share them with anyone.
But I can imagine it would be good to share with one other person.
Yeah, of course. But again, check
But
with the
not in
editor.
lab. Yeah,
Check
not,
with the
yeah.
editor.
Check with editor, and I wouldn't say lab meeting would be a good idea.
And the other thing, so I have not really done much peer review myself, which is a bit of a shortcoming in an editor, but you learn on the job. But one of the other questions we should be asking is, do you really want to do peer review? Because trust me, once you start publishing, we will find you. You will reach the point where we ask you to peer review for us if you have enough, last author papers. If we get a paper, we will typically look for someone who's qualified to comment on it, who has not, conflict of interest with the authors, so you haven't published with the authors. In small fields, specialized areas, this becomes a problem. And who is well aware of what else is out there in the field. And we just, we Google search, we look at references, we look at, we ask recommendations. We will typically find you. And usually, like most of our more experienced peer reviewers are people that we try not to bother too much, and they very frequently will tell us, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to peer review. I don't think it's really a problem not to peer review during your PhD or even during your postdoc. It's very kind of you if you do so, and you might be very qualified to do so, and then we will appreciate your expertise. But I've had people send me messages like, hey, I want to be a peer reviewer. I don't really understand why. What do I need to do to be on your peer reviewer list? You just publish.
You think it just takes time, and once you start publishing as a last author, you will get more than enough requests.
Yeah. And if you really want to ask your PI, ask your PI to forward you papers. But fair warning, a good peer review, like what we expect, will take a considerable amount of time. It's not just reading a paper. You need to really go through the methods, look at all of the aspects of it, properly evaluate what they've done, comment on any potential flaws in methodology, discuss with other peer reviewers even, take their comments into consideration. If like an extra experiment is even feasible or necessary. These are not easy questions. And I don't know how long people usually take for a peer review. I've seen people comment, from a few hours to a week. I guess they're not working on it all week, but it's a considerable investment in time and effort. And, it'll come. All right, I'm banging on about this. Shall we pick up our next topic?
There must be a next topic. What's the next